Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lake County Sentinel Entertainment Extra Beyond the Gates recap for week 26 of the best soap opera on television. I hope everyone's had a good week. We were off last week, but we're back this week. And boy, there's a lot going on the show, right? I mean, with Chelsea being kidnapped by the crazy Allison, it's really been, there's been a lot of focus on that with good reason. And, but, other stuff with, with Leslie inheriting the trust, ironically set up by Anita, is rather crazy. That she's now rich and wants to move into Fairmount Crest. I thought it was great how Ted, in a way of helping out the Duprees and possibly scoring points with Nicole. That was nice, huh? Scoring points with Nicole when he convinced Dana today that he would give her the house that Nicole is currently living in. That is his house. So she would not sign the final papers to buy the house across the street from, across the street from Anita and Vernon. And I thought that was, that was pretty clever of Ted to do that. So it's Nicole going through the divorce papers. That's Nicole. She's emotional. She's kind of, she's not one of my favorite characters on the show. One of these weeks, we will do a review. We'll do a list of 1 to 10 of my favorite characters and my least favorite. But there's a lot going on. Kat still, she's really annoying, Kat. Not only does she treat Eva horribly, but she just treats everybody kind of crappy. Like she thinks she's better than everybody else. Think about it. Ted and Nicole, they raised a couple of snobs because Martin is too. He thinks that, his rules are, he has the rules that he goes by, and everybody else goes by other rules. But, I am sorry about that. Little yawning here. I'm worn out after watching the show. I'm worn out after watching another episode of the show. But I have to say, we were talking about, Leslie / Dana inheriting the trust that Anita set up years ago for Barbara Mitchell's relatives. That was some great acting. Great acting by Tamara Toomey and Trisha Mann Grant in their confrontation at the mansion after Leslie found out that she was rich and that the trust was coming from the Duprees. I mean, she didn't know that at the time, but of course she found out from Anita, and oh boy, Anita was disgusted by it. And the fact that she has to continue it, that's even harder to take. I'm glad for Chelsea or for Eva though. But Ted was already helping her out. Eva's okay. I think that people need to realize that Eva was a victim as much as anything in how her mother manipulated her into thinking that Ted knew about her when he never knew about her. He never knew about her. So, of course, she wanted a little revenge when she had the chance to become the assistant for Nicole in the early days of the show. You know, very early in the first week after Leslie perpetrated the motorcycle car accident and injured Nicole's original assistant. But the Allison kidnapping of Chelsea, the night of the rollout of the Chelsea Cat purse line, I thought it was very well written, very well directed, very well acted. Allison is nuts. She is absolutely crazy. I don't think she will kill Chelsea. I don't think she'll kill her. I don't know if, they'll get there in time, especially with those previews they showed. Looks like they may possibly get in a car accident on the way there. So I don't think they're gonna kill Chelsea. I could see this unfolding. Chelsea getting maybe her face slashed by Allison and needing plastic surgery. And of course, Ted will do the surgery. Ted will do the surgery successfully. Chelsea will be beautiful again with no scar. And Nicole will take Ted back. That could possibly happen. They could get to her in time and, Chelsea will be fine. What it looks like could be a car accident, may not be a car accident. Maybe he'll avoid the truck or whatever's coming. Or they could get in an accident and Madison could get killed. And then Chelsea would feel guilty that Madison was on her way to help her and got killed. So there's a lot of things that can happen with that. I think that we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff happen in the coming weeks. The show has been interesting from the first day. I mean, if you think about it, it has been interesting since the day it came on. There's not any dull there. I've not watched an episode and I've thought to myself, well, that was a waste of my time. No, that hasn't happened once with this show. It happened regularly with other soap operas I've watched in the past. And if you watch the other two CBS soaps, like I was thinking one day that if I went out and watched my grass grow, it would honestly be more exciting than watching Young and the Restless. But Beyond the Gates is not that way. It's not boring. It's exciting every day. I mean, like I've compared it in the past to Santa Barbara. And I don't think it's a coincidence that some of the people who are involved in this show were also involved in Santa Barbara. So I think that has a lot to do with it. They make exciting television. They don't make boring television. The plots on Beyond the Gates move fast. This kidnapping could end Monday or Tuesday. It could go next week, all next week too, if somehow they get away, and Allison still has her. But it could end Monday or Tuesday. If this were Young and the Restless, or even General Hospital, this kidnapping would go on for at least a month, if not 2. And they would repeat the same things over and over again. But that's not Beyond the Gates. That's not how Beyond the Gates works. So, Bill, he feels helpless because there's nothing he can do. Bill's the fixer. He's been the fixer for a long time, but there's nothing he can do here. He can't fix this. He can't just call somebody up and fix this. And Danny's a nervous wreck. Her daughter's been kidnapped, so what do you expect? But I just feel like if they get to her and save her, obviously Allison's either going to jail or she's probably going to kill herself. Something like that, I would think. It won't end well for her. But I hope they don't kill her. I hope they send her to a mental institution because, it's always good. It's always good for a soap opera to have a character in a mental hospital because you can bring them back anytime. You can bring them back anytime and they can cause trouble, wreak havoc anytime. So it's always good for a soap opera to have a character or 2 in a mental institution or in a coma somewhere. Those are some good soap opera things. And I feel like that's where Allison's headed. I hope they don't kill her off because I really do think you need to have a nut available to come back and cause trouble anytime you can. And being, Allison's young, Chelsea's young, they could rehash this storyline 6-7 times in the next 10, 15 years. It's always got juice. When there's a maniac in the picture on a soap opera, there's always juice. It can be over and over again. And Allison could become that. So I don't think she's going to get killed. I don't think Allison's or Chelsea's going to get killed. I think they'll save her. But we won't find out till next week, that's what Fridays are for. Fridays are for cliffhangers, right? I mean, that's what soap opera is. It's the Friday cliffhanger. And then we'll wait all weekend until Monday and see what happens. I do like how they give previews on this show. I'm a big fan of giving a little preview, giving you some idea. You'll still have to tune in to see what's going on, but previews are good. Used to drive me crazy on the old nighttime soap operas, how they would give previews, but then the cliffhanger, there were never previews. Mostly because they haven't filmed anything yet. But the only time I ever remember a preview after a cliffhanger on a nighttime soap was the shooting at the end of the second season when Julia had the gun and Chase was wrestling it away from her. I believe Chase was wrestling away from her. And shots rang out and the season ended. And the only preview they had was a casket being lowered into a grave. You didn't know who was in the casket. Obviously, it turned out to be Jacqueline Perot, Chase's mom. But I like the fact that Beyond the Gates gives the previews. It also gives you a chance to maybe know what's going on. Or, if you're walking around Fairmount Crest and you see somebody, maybe I shouldn't talk to them until Monday. So we know what's going on, right? I mean, Don't you all walk around Fairmount Crest? I do. I know people are going to tell me it's not a real place, but no, it is. But so we're going to find out Monday, hopefully Tuesday. Chelsea will be saved by, presumably Jacob and Kat at Madison. If they don't get in a car accident first. But that's pretty much, there's not a lot aside from the Chelsea kidnapping to talk about. The whole week was pretty much on that. Well, I think that Derek had just been paralyzed the last time we met on here. He started his rehab with Shanice and Ashley. And Ashley told Andre to take a hike. But that's not over. And Andre is now telling Ted the other day that he would like to pursue a serious relationship with Danny now that Ashley gave him the heave-ho. But that whole thing is going to go on. They're good with those storylines. I like those storylines. You know what I mean? Those don't have a quick resolution, and that's okay. But Danny and Bill getting a little closer there just because of the Chelsea kidnapping. That's going to that's going to annoy Haley, who couldn't stay away even though Bill told her to. But I think that the show's moving along well. I every week I'm always interested to know what's going to happen next in Fairmount Crest. It's a really great soap opera, and we've talked about that before. And it reminds me of the soap operas when I was growing up in the 70s and the 80s. They move fast. Storylines are interesting. They're not boring. So I can't wait till next week and see what happens because, there's some good acting going on too. I think we shouldn't neglect the acting of actresses like Ronnie Rose Montilla, who plays Chelsea. She's doing a great job with the kidnapping stuff. And I think that you want that's the only thing you could ask for when a new soap opera comes on. Who is the acting going to be good? Because let's face it, there have been soap operas where the acting has not been good. Okay, it has not been good, and I can remember. Think about Santa Barbara. Where they killed like 5 characters off 2-3 months into the show because the acting was so bad and they couldn't replace everybody, so they just killed them off. But we got I mentioned the acting by Ronnie Rose Montilla, who plays Chelsea, but the acting by Brianna Roberts, who plays Allison Bailey. She's really good. She's a really good actress too. And I think that, we're finding more and more out. Remember it was supposedly a throuple between Craig, Chelsea, and Allison early on in the show. When the show first began, it was the 9th episode, March 6th. And I think Chelsea met Craig and Allison at Orphy Jeans, I think it was. And, it went from there. But it turns out that Craig at that time said he was Allison's husband, but he wasn't. He was just somebody that Allison hired to act like he was her husband. And so the plot thickens, and the writers did a good job adding these extra things to it. Sometimes, they blow it. But what I like about Beyond the Gates a lot too, is that there's many layers to the storylines in Beyond the Gates. It's not just a simple storyline. There's always something else thrown in there as the storyline goes. And I really like that a lot. I give a credit to the producers and the writers, for continuing to add layers to all these different storylines and making the characters more interesting, which they do every day. So I just see a soap that's continuing to grow, and I love it. I don't call it the best soap on TV because just for the heck of it. I call it that because I really think it is. But there's not a lot more from this week. That's probably about it. We'll be back with you next week. We'll be into September then. We will. That'll be our September 5th show. We'll talk about what happens next week. And it's going to be a lot because it always is. But I can't believe we're this many weeks into this many weeks into the show. I think today was episode 123, which is just crazy, but it's doing well. From everything I've heard, it's doing well. It's already been renewed for a second season, which I think starts in September. That'll be considered the second season, September, October. And then we'll see what goes from there. Hopefully it continues to draw an audience, maybe build an audience, and ends up being on a long time because I like watching it and I like talking about it on Fridays with you guys. So you're welcome to, you could message me on X at TVBucksTim. You could email me at tshirer@lakecountysentinel.com. And ask me a question. I will answer the question on the air if you have a question for me. So until next week, I hope everybody has a good weekend. We got Labor Day coming up here. I hope everybody has a good weekend and then week. And who knows, before next Friday, maybe I'll see you somewhere around Fairmount Crest.